everyone to the 7th StakeHound Ask Me Anything session. This is Castellana, CEO of StakeHound. I'll be here every week with a conversation with an industry leader to discuss the state of the industry, staking, and DeFi. StakeHound brings DeFi and staking together so that you no longer have to choose between staking on your beloved networks and earning yield from that, or participating in the booming DeFi ecosystem, right? You can have the best of both worlds. Thanks to StakeHound, you'll be able to trade a one-to-one representation of a staked token on Uniswap or borrow against it on Avid, for example, right? So today with us, we have Felix Mago. Felix is the co-founder of multiple entities within Dash. He's been very busy. The leading crypto, like Dash is, like very well known as like in the crypto space as one of the leading, if not the leading cryptocurrency for real-time payments, right? Like if you want to go direct to a shop and you want to pay there, that's kind of what their focus is, right? And within Dash Next, he drives the business development, partnerships, and within Dash Thailand, another entity that he is kind of leading, he has established the first crypto payment ecosystem in Asia. So he is an expert on DeFi, crypto payments, and decentralized businesses. Welcome, Felix. Thank you for being here today.
Albert, my big pleasure to be here with you.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody.
So how do we start by the basics, right? So can you tell us a bit about yourself, with your background? How did you get into Dash, for example? I'm very curious.
Oh, it's a long time ago. Blockchain, as we all know, is every month it feels like a year because so many things happening. And we started a couple of years back because I lived in Germany, in Berlin, and I met the German embassy, the German Dach embassy, Dash embassy Dach, it was the name. So the German-speaking countries, we call them Dach, the Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. I met these guys, and they kind of blew my mind back. That was 2017, 18. Like what even a DAO is and how that worked. And, it's like one of these things you hear about and you're like, yeah, okay. And then when you start digging into it and start, really participating in something so new and revolutionary, you're just, blown away. And since then we're very happy that we are a big part of the Dash community. And I think, because I now live in Asia, I'm talking with you here out of Bangkok. So, I thought we always had a great potential here to bring Dash to Asia, and we were the first essentially DAO-funded organization that was established here. You mentioned I'm the co-founder of several projects, Dash Thailand and Dash Next. Maybe to give you a little bit of a background here. When we started here, there was actually not much Dash in Asia. There were kind of groups and investors and everybody, but not like really a Dash-funded entity. So, we thought it's great to have a starting point. And the starting point was here in Thailand, because we said, hey, there is a big use case on crypto travel. Everybody in the world, like it's one of the most visited country in the world, and Bangkok, one of the most visited cities in the world. So we thought, hey, everybody comes here. And obviously there is a huge number of people who live from crypto, who like this stuff, digital nomads and everything. So this is our use case we want to start with. So we started really with a bottom-up approach to build a merchant ecosystem, to test the waters, how that works, to find people who pay with it. And from there we said, hey, actually blockchain is really about leveraging networks you have. And, it's like everybody's on these conferences, meet each other. And this is where, partnerships are being made and great stuff is happening. So we said, actually it's important to have a broader approach that leverages the fact that we are here in Asia and use that for finding new partners for Dash, to go into other industries for Dash, and also, to go outside of our crypto bubble and talk with merchants and, big merchant shops and everything. So I think I'm very happy what has happened in the last years, and Dash has achieved to be in so many different industries and on so many verticals with fiat trading pairs and everything that that is necessary to make crypto payments happen at the end of the day.
It's very interesting, kind of the adoption that you guys have been creating. I think that's super impressive. Like, do you have any kind of insights on where you see kind of the industry going, how you see Dash being used in it? Like, what are the things that you find most kind of relevant and exciting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, it comes back. Blockchain is moving so fast, so we kind of find new angles as we go, and this, I mean, there's new potential around every corner, I would argue, right? So in the last years, it has been especially, you know, in times of first layer protocols, very much about being like, what is the use case? And I mean, Dash always had a great use case because it's simple. It stands for digital cash. So we are about payments, and we are about, you know, doing real things with your crypto. Like you mentioned, you know, go and buy your dinner, and then pay for your hotel room, pay for your flight, all of, you know, just a normal life. Because I mean, let's be honest, you know, spending money is better than earning it, right? So this was always a bit of the approach, and this is why I mean, Dash, as other cryptocurrencies and as the whole ecosystem, has evolved a lot. You know, the way I see it, and this is, I mean, it brings us right into the DeFi topic, and why I'm so excited to work with you now is, you know, finally after years of many people being frustrated and say, oh, blockchain is just blah blah, nothing is happening. You know, people were building products, companies were building products, and suddenly in 2020 we see many of these products come out, and you know, everybody is talking about DeFi as money Lego, you know, and suddenly you can, you know, plug and play so many things that come exactly from these developments in the last years. It doesn't come magically just, you know, now to the earth. It has been hard work to get to this point where we are. And this doesn't go only for DeFi, it also goes, you know, for Dash. In order to make all these crypto payments happening, you know, you need fiat exits, you need onboarding and offboarding ramps for people who participate in these ecosystems. You need to be integrated with payment processors, with everything, right? So what I really see now as a big development in blockchain is that finally we're at the point where, number one, a lot of things are working, and it's not only fantasy anymore. And number two, that, you know, blockchains come together and kind of integrate. We talk about cross-chain solutions. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff. I heard you mentioning this island example recently, where you said, so far we have all been on our little islands, and, you know, now we finally build the boats and bridges we need to participate and to learn and grow with each other.
Right. I mean, there's so much stuff going on right now in DeFi, and well, I mean, crypto in general, right? But like DeFi specifically over the last like few months has exploded in so many different ways. Is there something that you find like highly interesting, right? Like within the DeFi evolution, like the things that we've seen over the last few months, what would you highlight within DeFi?
Yeah, I mean, maybe for the viewers, you know, you and me are talking so much, so it's kind of weird to have exactly these conversations with you again, because we're both so hyped about it. I mentioned before many times, it's one thing to hear about DeFi and to read about DeFi, and it's another thing to try it. And I really would argue in this case, you really understand it, and you find this moment where you say, aha, you know, when you really tried it. And obviously, you know, yield farming was kind of a bit of a gamification way to dig into it. And, you know, it's kind of fun to see these nice designs that all look like a early 1990 Atari game or something.
Yeah, totally.
You know, it's just fun to try these things, you know. Suddenly you see some tokens coming in from some yield farming stuff, and you're like, ah, wow, you know. And realizing this opens the door to understand a lot of things about it, right? There is shifts from, you know, from centralized exchanges to decentralized exchanges. There's a shift from the way we now raise funds, you know, from closed rounds in VCs offices to ICOs to yield farming projects, you know, that, you know, suddenly you can do it faster. You don't need that much cost. The teams can be smaller to do that, right? So there's a million new opportunities. And again, it's like building money Legos. And for me, you know, the question is, what kind of Legos do you have in your box? And you can build different things, right? And yeah, this is where we go right now.
I mean, one of the interesting things about DeFi is like obviously like the concept of a DAO, right? Like, and I believe that you guys are probably like the first DAO, really. So could you tell us a bit like how a DAO operates? Like, how does Dash operate by itself?
Yeah, great question. You know, I would even argue not only the DAO, but we are, along with Bitcoin and Litecoin and all the very, very early projects, you know, we're kind of the leader of DeFi before the word DeFi was invented, because, you know, be your own bank was like, is our claim for a long time, you know. It's like, we don't need any middleman to do anything, right? And the DAO structure, I mean, is, I mentioned it at the start, you know, it's just an amazing concept. And most people, you know, read about it again, and it's something completely different. If you work, I mean, I was always working in a corporate context, you know, you have a boss. When you want a job, you write your CV and an application, you write it to an HR department you don't know, you get mostly no feedback at all, you know. And if then you end up in like weird interview rounds with, you know, with people who ask you like, but what is your biggest weakness or something like that, you know. It's like, this is so out of date. And you know, I'm German. I even have struggled to get a job in the US or in Thailand or wherever, you know, because I don't have a work permit. And now imagine, you know, people from Africa, people from the Philippines, you know, we have so many talent on the world, right? And we have so like exclusive systems, right? So the way I see it is, you know, this new form of organization is highly inclusive, is much fairer. In a way for people to engage, you know, it opens so many new possibilities for us to collaborate with each other. So for me, this is really the next level of you know, not only the internet, but really the way we work and the way we run projects and develop new stuff together.
It's a very interesting way to kind of organize a corporation, right? Like, yeah, I had this conversation with Amanda just like a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, the real thing that actually drove me to Daesh was the DAO, kind of the community, how the communications were, how the people were, you know, engaged with it, and how much she was enjoying the process, and you know, the love that she was getting from the community. So I think that's very, very, very interesting. How, you know,
if you allow me, like maybe tell you a little bit more about how Dash specifically works, and you know, how for the viewers to understand a bit better the context, right? I mean, Dash has a proposal system, or Dash is as most blockchains, especially from, you know, first generation blockchains, proof of work. They have like blocks they build, right? And every block gives kind of block rewards, right? And most other blockchains, these block rewards are directly distributed to the miners. Dash had a different idea and said, why only miners? We have three different stakeholders. Number one is the miners. They do a security function. Number two, and we will talk about this in a minute, is the Masternode network. On top of that, they get a share. And then there is money left, or a share left, which goes to the operations essentially within Dash, right? And this we call treasury, and everybody in the world can write a proposal and participate in this open voting system, to say, hey, I have an idea, I need funding for it, these are my milestones, my deliverables, and you know, can I participate? Do you trust me with these funds? You know, and this is the way Dash has established essentially so many teams around the world. You know, and most people just don't understand it, because everybody don't look too much into it, maybe because there is, in fact, you know, there is no Dash as an organization. Dash is like a cooperation, a collaborative approach from many teams around the world, such as the Dash core group and registered in or mainly in the States. There's Dash Latam in America. You know, we had a team in Europe, we have a team in Nigeria, we are here in Asia, and there's several other small teams like in Brazil, or you know, like all around the world. Some of them come, some of them go, some of them are really, you know, important, you know, to have everything, and everybody has a bit of a different focus. So this is the way Dash works, in a very collaborative manner. And of course, you know, because we are not an organization, we don't have this one entity, you know, giving orders down. You know, we have to organize ourselves, and we have established quite nice processes. I mean, you know, just standard things like having weekly phone calls and aligning our goals and our strategies with each other, you know, but again, in a very democratic and collaborative way, rather than in hey, I'm your boss and I can tell you what you do, right?
I love it. I mean, I believe that it's such an inclusive approach, right? Like what you're saying, like anyone, you know, you can be in Africa right now, and you can just submit a proposal to the DAO, and you know, like the community will be eager to listen to your proposal, because simply like people want things to happen, right? So if you're proposing things that are good for the community, then they will jump in and they will support you, right? I think that, yeah, in my experience, like this inclusiveness it is actually one of the superpowers that you know you can have on a layer one protocol such as Dash, like, especially like it's organized on a DAO, that you can't have in many other kind of environments, right? So you mentioned the Masternode system, right? So, well, StakeHound is mainly focused at staking, right? But unlike Masternodes is not really staking, but at the same time, for me, like it's kind of the same concept. Could you explain to our viewers, like, what is the Masternode system? Like, how do you consider it? How do you see it, like, being, you know, evolved over time? Yeah.
To put it in simple words, the masternode system is essentially a second layer. So we are kind of have a combination of consensus mechanisms. One is the proof of work I just mentioned. The other one is a proof of service, which is on top of that, right? So we kind of have two layers of validated transactions, if you will, right? And everybody can become a masternode by simply staking 1,000 dash. As you can imagine, when we started back in 2014, it was different times, and a master node was, dash was at low prices like every other coin. Right now, it has become a bit expensive. So right now, I think we're talking about $70,000 roundabout for a master node. But with staking these 1,000 dash, you are eligible to certain rights and obligations. So the obligation is obviously to confirm and validate transactions. That's what we call proof of service. You have to be there and prove that you can deliver the service. And you get the right to vote for this treasury I just described. So the masternodes are the people essentially who are voting for it. The theory behind it is simply put to say, you put so much money into this, and you're locking your money away. This is why you actually are incentivized to do good decisions for this DAO. Yeah, and maybe one more thing to add, from the DAO system. I mean, a DAO essentially, is about automating core processes of a business, right? So there is not one DAO, but there's this concept can be put into many realities, let's say, right? So now we see like kind of an influx of DAOs all around the world coming with different purposes. So the purpose for this DAO in the Dash ecosystem is really in the core, this funding system, and having a governance system for this specific aspect of the organization.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. So how do you see so StakeHound, with Dash, right? Like, how do you see this partnership playing out? Like, why are you excited about having a stake Dash within the DeFi, the Ethereum DeFi ecosystem? Why do you feel that that's exciting?
Okay, I don't even know where to start with this question because there's so many exciting things about it. Maybe let me start by give a shout out to Ruben from Zcoin, because he was the one who introduced us, and we I was a bit jealous that he was telling me, hey, I now get a wrapped asset, right? Because before we even talked, I was already checking around, like, what's the way for it. The way I see it, now, as I mentioned before, now we're in a situation where many blockchains can come together, and actually it's possible to to bring value from one blockchain to the other and the other way around, right? And DeFi is all about having kind of financial freedom at the end of the day, right? So it's about different building blocks that are useful to have this financial freedom, right? A decentralized bank, for example, right? I don't need any of these middlemen to be my bank, right? In fact, for me, they kind of have not much purpose anymore, right? Because they are not needed anymore. We can solve that issues or the things they did with technology, right? And that also includes, I can get a loan without asking for a bank. I just collateralize my crypto asset and I can take something out. So this opens so many doors, right? We are very strong in payments. I feel, we have one very strong thing, not only the payment, but also the merchant network in the background of it, and all these partners in the payment space that we can now bring to the DeFi space for other players, to build on and to use that, for whatever people build on it. That's the crazy thing.
Totally.
You don't know yet. There's some established business cases like staking, lending, borrowing, I think, and this is very, very exciting. But in order, again, to become a part of now this ecosystem that grows together, I think it's very important to build these bridges. I mentioned the island example from you before, right? And I think it's very good to make it understand for people, right? We were on these different islands, and now what is the way to cross there, right? We kind of need a bridge or a boat or something that takes us over and that enables us to go back and forth, right? And a wrapped asset is exactly that. And the way you do it excites me, especially, because you have a very straightforward and well thought concept of how you take custody of assets, how you ensure that, that if I give you my Dash, they are really stored somewhere and they're really there before somebody issues a wrapped Dash. These are the important details if you take a closer look that obviously have to be brought in place, right? Because it's we have seen too many scammy things out there, and I think it's important, you know, for us to keep the good reputation we have, and you know, we're very aware of things that can go wrong, and you know, maybe that's sometimes a bit conservative in this space, but I think it's super important to do it like that. So this is why I think this partnership offers a way to do it right.
I mean, yeah, I'm so excited as well, right? Like just yesterday, I was doing like a class to some guys, and like discovering like what the different type of wrapped assets are, right? You've got synthetics, you've got, you know, like custodian wrapped, you've got, you know, like multi-party computation wrapped, right? Like all these different approaches and how they can, each one of them have their own use cases, right? And their own specific utility, their own pros and cons, right? For example, you know, being able to get the rewards from the staking or the masternodes in this case, that is something that, you know, maybe multi-party competition is going to have much more problems to actually be able to do, right? Like synthetics, for example, wouldn't be able to do that. That would just be like, you know, like treated as, you know, 100%, right? So all of these different things, how they play together, like I feel like that's super interesting. And I feel like when we start kind of using in these DeFi games that we all are playing in, right? You were mentioning like yield farming and all these different things that have happened, you know, like the sushi, the vampire attacks, all these different things, right? When we start to use actual assets that, you know, like, okay, we know that there have a kind of a network underneath that, you know, like there's real communities that have been on like living for like 4 or 5 years, you know, to support those projects. I feel like the game is then going to completely be changing, right? So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing all these different approaches, how they will be kind of interfaced, you know, when they are, you know, touching a different type of asset that, you know, people are not used to dealing with until now, right? So
if I may add some things here, I totally agree, you know, and it's super exciting. But you mentioned synthetics, right? So I mean, let's take a step back and look, you know, what it actually does, and it doesn't come out of, you know, out of nowhere now. I mean, the whole financial world we have established for, you know, the past century is essentially a world of totally weird synthetics in every form, right? We don't trade pork anymore. We trade certificates on porks, right? And we trade futures, and then we bundle, you know, beef and pork together and have another future and stuff like that, right? So it's like super crazy what banks are essentially the master in inventing crazy financial stuff, right? And obviously we are at another level of craziness, so we can, you know, we can now do that without the banks, and we can build a lot of things. So this is one thing. The other thing is, and this is very important, you know, why this has value, and you know what we're doing now. If you look at the crypto markets, we always complain that, you know, these companies have no business models, but there are many companies who have a business model, and the lighthouse for these are the crypto exchanges. So, you know, if you ask the question, who actually earned the most money with, you know, with all this crypto industry in the last years, obviously you come up with Binance, Coinbase, and so on and so on, right? And why are these companies earning money? Because they get fees when they swap an asset from A to B, right? And it doesn't have to be a crypto asset. No, as we just established, no, it can be any kind of asset. So now we do, and this is what blockchain is always talking about: take out the middleman, take out the middleman. Now we have something like Uniswap that takes us the middleman, and but still there is a transaction fee if you swap an asset, right? But now this transaction fee doesn't go to a centralized entity. No, it goes to all the people who participate in this case in these liquidity pools, right? And now liquidity pools are another, you know, a third thing that is just, you know, mind-blowing, which is kind of a switch from normal trading, order book based trading, to a completely new form of automated market makers with different oracles that, you know, that show you this is the real data. So yeah, again, the rabbit hole is so deep.
no,
it's hard to break it down sometimes.
Yes. Like when we started researching StakeHound, like I saw like there was a presentation by Edgar's that he was saying like everything on DeFi is a pool essentially, right? Like with the pool of assets, you have an automated market maker. You have lending platforms like Aave. You have synthetics itself. Like just all of those things are in a way pools of different people putting their assets in a way that you couldn't do before. Essentially, right? Like you're actually democratizing the access to pulling funds together and using those funds for something, for example, market making, right? Like providing liquidity for anyone to be able to trade it. And then you become the exchange, as you were saying, instead of, you know, letting, you know, just like Binance or Coinbase make the money from that, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
very cool.
absolutely. Plus, I mean, plus even more, from a user perspective, obviously it's super interesting because number one, I get suddenly incentivized for different things, right? By participating, for example, staking my money into a liquidity pool, I participate in the fees, right? That's a great incentive.
Right.
Number
Yes.
two, if I was using any of these exchanges, I mean, everybody knows that not your keys, not your coins, right? This is another a very big thing. I don't need to use these exchanges anymore and still are able to swap assets. I don't have to, and this is, but that gets into sometimes a little now difficult questions. I don't even have to do KYC, which is or register anywhere or give my data to anyone, right? Which I mean, obviously will become definitely a challenge for the market. But I mean, that's the way this technology enables us suddenly to really take control over our assets, over our identities, and and even get incentivized for that in a much better way than it was before.
Absolutely. So, what are the next plans for Dash? Like, what's coming up next apart from Stake Dash?
I mean, number one, obviously, we keep pushing for everything payment, and onboarding a lot of partners. We were this year digging a lot into the gaming industry and had some great partnerships there. I think that's an interesting market. Also, if you look at the personas of new people coming in, I mean, I think if you're 16 to 20, 22 now, I mean, you heard about Bitcoin, right? I see so many studies where they say it's boring to save gold and everything. So it's important to capture these people. And by the way, I just tried TikTok and was amazed by like how people talk about Bitcoin and crypto assets there. It's like something I've never seen before, but amazing. That's important to keep up. Number two is Dash Platform is around the corner, and Dash Platform has been something that has been developed for a long time and will bring a lot of cool new stuff to the Dash blockchain. We are already super fast, but now we enable even more things. There will be decentralized cloud storage. There will be usernames, super cool things people can build stuff on. We're going to have data applications. At the end of the day, it means we now have the capability to build more on Dash, right? And even better, to what I mentioned before, to interact with these other chains, right? And right now we are not only exploring what will be done with Dash. Obviously, one big goal is that we bring in now, or that we motivate developers to say, hey, there is a new thing you can develop on. There is a DAO funding mechanism even behind it. So it's not only we ask you to build something for free. You can pitch your cool ideas into a very established system to build something. Obviously, I think that. But there is no limitations, right? Whatever people want to build. I mean, my perspective, as I was driving these payment things, is obviously it would make total sense now that we focus on our core strength, which is the payment part. Let's say we build cool payment applications like payroll solutions, or even identity management solutions for whatever integrates into these payment systems. There's a million use cases, but again, I want to motivate actually people to come up with their own ideas and not even tell too many of my ideas what I would do with it. It's about I mean, it's when you have the internet, you can build crazy stuff, and when you have Dash platform, you can also build cool things. And I hope this is going to happen soon. So this, and then number three is all this DeFi thing, and I think the partnership with us obviously doesn't end there, but it opens the door to so many new possibilities. And me coming really from this business development perspective, obviously until now, very interesting partners for us were, as I said, like the gaming industry, all the players there with a lot of users to capture, some of them to say, hey, you can use crypto payments, incentivize them. But now we have, I mean, I have already a very long Excel list of new partners to approach and partners to integrate, such as lending platforms or other staking platforms, or my hope is even to be part of all this yield farming craze by having trading pairs. And I'm even confident that it will happen because we have with this Masternode network, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. We bring even over additional value to all this, and in a way that it's way more sustainable, because as you introduced us, we already had the staking for years, right? So it's working, it's there. It's not just I farm some coin that is worth nothing tomorrow. This is the way I see it.
Mhm. I mean, when I kind of pitch StakeHound and like talking about this bridge, like these bridges and the islands and so on, I feel like all the infrastructure that Ethereum has been built around, like all the infrastructure that has been built around Ethereum, right, over the last few years, that right now is still quite isolated from, for example, the infrastructure that Dash has been building, right? Most of those things are actually quite exclusive, right? And by building the bridge, it means that all the infrastructure that you have on Ethereum, for example, the yield farming, but as well like all of the other like wallets and exchanges and custody providers that maybe don't want to take care of running the nodes, for example, right? They will have a way to be in touch with the Dash ecosystem, right? Even if it's through a proxy, but like it will go much smoother, like it just like more opening the door for more use cases, right? and and yeah, like I'm very happy to be partnered with you, and it's like it's a pleasure for me every week when we're like discussing the different approaches that we can take into like how to market this product, how to how can we actually do like this joint business development to make sure that it has as much utility as possible. And what I'm really looking forward to see is when we issue the stake Dash, what are people are going to be using it for? Like, will people out of the blue start providing liquidity to it? Will someone come in with a liquidity management schema, for example, right? We're going to be like working about this over the next few months, just making sure that there's more utility to it. But I just have to say that I'm very looking forward to it. I'm very excited to be in this position.
I think it would be maybe interesting for the viewers, if you try a bit to dissect that now and like to take it apart. What are kind of the different elements of that? And we mentioned, we have the Masternode network, and by staking 1,000 Dash, as I mentioned before, you set up a Masternode, and this Masternode gives you rewards. It gives you around 7% per year rewards, staking rewards, essentially, right? So what we are going to do now is that we actually want, and this is one part. So there's different incentive mechanisms to say the key is for us now, the main goal is to start something and to incentivize people to pool liquidity. So, everybody can exchange Dash with whatever trading pair we come up with. So this is like the main goal, right? And liquidity always is key in the market to have liquid assets, and everybody knows that. So even take one more step back, we are now in a situation Dash listed at so many exchanges around the world, so we want to, it's hard to keep up with liquidity for any of these projects because it's an expensive thing, right?
Right.
Everybody's talking about fake volumes, and this is exactly the reason for, because most of these assets don't have enough liquidity. With Dash, we are lucky enough to have very, very good liquidity, but it's the more exchanges you have and the more trading pairs you have, the better actually, but also the more difficult, right? So now what we say, we take this and we put it together into this decentralized way to have pooled liquidity where different projects and things can just plug in and use this liquidity, right? There's no difference between than Binance and Coinbase anymore with different liquidity pools or something, right? So this is like the goal we want to achieve, right? And in order to do that, we try now to make it in a new way. And number one is what we just talked with the Masternodes. We have the staking system, and there is essentially value created on the Dash blockchain with these Masternodes. What you are doing now is saying, hey, everybody can participate in that, and they don't even need the 1,000 Dash to have one Masternodes. You kind of offer, in that sense, a shared Masternode service, right? So this is one of the elements, right? So you pool liquidity, or you buy a wrapped Dash, and you are eligible for these Masternode rewards that are coming in. Number two, right? You want to pool liquidity, and every time you do that, there is a fee when people swap from A to B. And as I explained before, this fee will usually then go to companies like Binance or Coinbase, right? And happy they make money, but actually nicer that if I put my money there, that I get the money, that I get a part of this fee, right? So this is the second incentive we are working on. The third incentive is you are launching as well a token, right? That will be as a reward for people participating in this wrapped Dash ecosystem, right? So this will be incentive number 3. So this is where we are right now, and I think I'm sure every time we talk about, we get 5 new ideas, but I think this is what we are working on right now. And until the launch, I hope we have other 5 incentives we can throw in. But this is super exciting for me. That essentially means now if you buy Dash, if you buy wrapped staked Dash, you have different incentives, and you get rewarded on multiple levels by doing different things, right? By just buying this
Totally.
token, by buying this token and staking this token into a liquidity pool, and so on and so forth. So there's so many exciting things, and especially if you take that from a user perspective, everybody who participates in that will benefit. And one thing you also have established a lot, is then, I mean, how markets tend to be efficient, right? So the moment there is an arbitrage opportunity, liquidity will kind of come by itself, right? And this is another super interesting thing. So our goal is now to kickstart a liquidity pool with a great buzz and a great market entry, and then go out and build great partnerships around that.
Thank you very much for your kind words, and like I couldn't be happier to be able to work with you together and like bringing this to the world, right? Is there anything else that you would like to tell the community, or any last message to share with the Dash community or with the StakeHound community?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's about everything. It's so new, everything, and we completely understand that that this stuff is hard to wrap your head around. And as I said before, really, I can recommend everybody to try it. It's also sometimes or most of the time even a very frustrating endeavor to use MetaMask and to see the fees going on there. And it's like, I mean, paying $50 is normal. With when I pay my restaurant meal with Dash, it's always like a cent, which it is what it is because people are using it right now. It is what it is. But again, I can recommend everybody just to try it, just to know better, to understand better how that works. I guarantee everybody who tries it, will have like this aha effect, which is like, okay, now I understand much better like what they actually talking about, and all these crazy strategies. So this is one thing, and the other thing is, I know it's on us now to really take people's hands and explain the benefits, also explain the security issues involved, right? The way we stake it with you will be through custodial service, right? So this is an important feature. And of course, and also, let's be honest, it can open the door to a lot of things. Every protocol can then essentially integrate a stake Dash, and I mean, be careful with protocols, right? It's if code is not audited, be careful with that. So, but again, I mean, I see these positive things is a start, and it's a matter of explaining it in a way that it's understandable for people, because I understand, very difficult thing to wrap your head around.
Amazing. So, well, I think we've come up to the end of this conversation. Thank you very much, Felix, to join us today. And like, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I would
Likewise.
like I look forward to our next conversation. I'm sure that our viewers will be happy to have you as well again. And like, I would like to tell everyone, you can try this out today. Essentially, you can go into the website directly, stakehound.com. You can see that there's a stake dash where you can directly like test on the Robston testnet. I suggest that you guys do that. You can actually go and provide liquidity on Uniswap on the testnet as well, so that you can see the whole flow, how it works, and so on and so forth. And then tomorrow we're going to be launching our first stake token, which is Stake Zcoin, which now will be rebranded to Stake Firo. And well, very excited about that. As Felix said, like, massive thank you to Ruben, who has been very, very helpful as well throughout the process. And like, we couldn't have had like established this relationship with Dash if it wasn't for him. And well, thank you all for being here today. Join our Telegram groups, subscribe to this channel, and looking forward to talking with you soon. Have a good day.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you very much. If you want to follow me, please do that on Twitter, Felix Mago _Dash, or on LinkedIn, Felix Mago. Thanks for the invite.
Please do.
Great conversation.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Felix. Have a good one.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.